The limited edition Custom Shop Arms Race. How to avoid the duds and how to land on the dreams. We're going to help you as much as we can, and maybe we'll learn something or two along the way as well. Hey, it's me, Baxter.
And me, Jonathan.
Nice to meet you. If you've never joined us before, we're talking about expensive guitars from the worlds of Gibson Custom Shop, Fender Custom Shop, PRS private stock, all these like sort of fancy higher.
All the things.
The cork sniffing universe that we often find our grubby, mud-coked shoes in. It's kind of neat, right?
It's true.
You look particularly nice today too. Nice shirt.
Thank you very much.
That's all I'm going to say.
The finest Wrangler Walmart Indigo edition.
I do. I love those things. I love Wrangler. I love Jordache. I love like Levi. I love like the
Jordache.
Jordache.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think of my wife as a Jordache model from the 90s. That's my sort of fantasy.
It's like white jeans.
So it's weird that I got to be with the Jordache model. It's like awesome. Yeah, it's like average white girl from Kentucky jeans. She's not average, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, here we go. So Fender, Gibson, PRS, like the big three, like they have a lot of sort of boutique, high-end, limited guitars come out, right?
Yeah.
And like it's more so than it used to be.
I would think so.
I think Gibson in particular has picked up the numbers outrageously, and they're offering, they started off with like offering experiences for some of them, and then those experiences have sort of gone away in some of them, and now there's expensive guitars, and you got to figure out where the bang for the buck is.
It's true.
It's tricky because a lot of times you can get burned on it.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the beginning of when I saw this sort of, the beginning of when I saw it happen in recent times. It goes through cycles, but I saw it happen in NAMM a few years back with Paul Reed Smith, with the Silver Sky, with the Nebula.
Yep.
That's the first one where I was like, whoa.
I can see that, right? That makes sense. Yeah, I do remember that. And that was, man, it was crazy.
So that guitar was $2,250, I believe, when it came out. And that's the map on what they were supposed to be. That was maybe a little bit more for that one because the paint job, maybe like $24.99 or something.
I feel like it was a little bit more. But
just a little bit. But then we saw those on Reverb, eBay, and all secondary sites and some guitar shops, which was a little bit suspicious or suspect. I will not say sus because I'm too old. But for $8,000 and more. Like right on the day of, when people got them, bam, bam, flip. There's a flip spin. We've talked about this before, like how we feel if that's like cool or if it's not cool. That's for you to decide.
Doesn't matter. That's the reality.
Doesn't matter.
That's what it was.
It really doesn't matter. Like I think if that's your thing and you want to do it and you want to try to make a buck, cool, man. I think it stinks that it's kind of like scalpers.
Yeah,
I sort of have that mentality with it too. But
it is that. I mean,
but I get it. Okay, but so that one went crazy, and then like it tightened a little bit after that. We sort of washed over the next few months, and it came down to 6. And so then you had a few people down there sitting in the sort of 4 to 5 is where it sort of landed.
Right.
So if you got that initial hit, yeah, you paid a premium, but you guaranteed your lock in on it. I don't know whether they're going to sit for the long haul. It's kind of there was but it's an okay one to jump into because as we go further in this conversation, you're going to see the prices astronomically rise. So that's the win, though, I think, for PRS. It created this great firestorm of publicity, a great buzz. They've had some duds, too. The Orianthi didn't do so well. No. They built a bunch of those. Beautiful guitar. Purple-pink Majesty, sort of that purple-pink burst type thing. Kind of like the charcoal cherry burst. Yeah. But it was it was too many units built with not enough of a fan base for that piece.
That's right.
That's the trick, because it was expensive too. Like these are not. That's when we're jumping into over the $10,000.
When you get to that, man, like it's gotta have a really rabid fan base, like a fan base that is willing to like. First off, the fan base has to be there that actually has money, that has the means.
And we were talking about that earlier in
our
production meeting earlier. It's like how many of these people, of you, of us, actually exist?
Like because if the target demographic, if they're not target, but if their actual fans are 20-year-old college kids, probably not buying a $50,000
or
guitar.
50-year-old working stiffs too, like all of us. Like you might be an ultra fan, but like I can't go buy every fan.
No.
I couldn't get Noel Gallagher's 355 because I have a 61 355. It'd be kind of pointless too to go.
Sure.
But I got mine for way cheaper than Noel's cost now too. That's the funny part of when you buy things and get in. Now jumping from the Orianthi to let's go over to Fender for a minute. Let's talk about the Mike McCready, which came out years ago. It's probably 5+ years old now, maybe 6. I don't remember.
It's been a while.
But that was a Vincent Mann Treat piece, I believe, and that thing was. Well, I remember people being like, I don't know if that's going to sell. I was like, trust me, this is going to be. That was the first of the Fenders that was like fire.
Right.
You know,
and it was like a I mean, people are crazy. They were gone.
Oh no!
Very
Well,
quickly.
you know, yeah, it's like, and we helped one of our shops that we're friends with. We won't say who. Like they'd oversold by accident, and so we're like, you can have one of ours, and it sort of stunk. Because I really wanted to sell that guitar. I love that guitar too. It was just cool. But that's what you do for pals.
All true.
Pals that are salsa dancers.
Yes.
But that's another story. So that sort of is a contrast to, like, you know, the Orianthi, but the Fender has their own too. Like, you know, Terry Kath did not sell super well.
It didn't.
Across the board. And that's a cool guitar. But again, it's a weird audience right there too. Now this is the trick that we were talking about with these guitars earlier.
I think this is true for this one.
Is that going to go up later down the road?
Probably.
I think there's something weird about that guitar. I do like the guitar. It's not my aesthetic taste necessarily, the stickers thing, but there's something. It's a great guitar, first off, but that one might have an option of like actually lifting a bit. Yeah. I think you can get it for a deal now, like a really good deal now. It's like super low. It's not. The shops aren't allowed to list it except for at certain prices, but if you're interested in one, contact the shop. They'll make you a breakneck deal on it. I think we still have one too.
We do?
Yeah, so it's that's an option. Now, jumping into Gibson for a minute, we're jumping ship and we'll come back to and tie it up. Now, they did this. They've been doing custom ones for a while, but their epic launch was the Greeny. That was $50,000.
Well, and it's so weird, and we'll talk, I'm sure we'll come back around to this, but it seems like the Greeny happened, and it was like, wow, this is an event, and then it was like, man, now there's one every 3 weeks. There's a new one announced.
It's a bit much.
And we all thought, man, that's a lot for that Greeny, but you got the experience. You got to fly to Nashville. You got to meet Kirk Hammett. You did all the stuff, and they sold, I mean, you know, immediately.
They sold them out immediately, and one of our dear friends and customers like bought one, and I'm not saying his name because we love him to death. And we don't know.
We've all played it. Taking it to the blues jam.
It. But knowing, like, for those of you that, like, you know, watch the industry, like, and we watch it very hawkishly or bearish and bullishly sometimes, depending on the day. Mm-hmm. It's all become about, for almost all the major manufacturers. It didn't used to be this way. It's all about NPI, new product introductions, new product launches, and they have a cycle for it. If you pay attention, it's pretty regular, except for Gibson's been launching a lot of these custom pieces way faster than normal, because they went from, you know, the Greeny, then they did a custom shop run the Greeny, and they did a production run the Greeny, and then they're going to have a Squire and an orange amplifiers version of the Greeny. I'm kidding. I just want to see if you would catch me on that one. So they did that. Then they had other artists fall behind it. They've had, you know, probably 6 slashes since then. Oh yeah. Kidding, not that many, but probably about 3 or 2.
At least 335. Yeah.
You know, we've had the red eye, and the red eye. There's still red eyes available, I think, too.
I thought the red eye would go quick, just because it's a cool guitar.
It's one. We have one sitting right off camera. It's amazing.
It's an amazing guitar, and maybe I think they should have tied it a little more historically to Ed King, not just Jason Isbell. No, and I think they did. I just think the marketing could have done that.
The marketing is the issue there, I think. And no dig on the marketing there. These companies are doing great jobs. Well, a little dig, I guess, here. But that needed to be an Ed King.
Well, again, you can have the continuation of it. I just think.
Well, because the Greeny is the Greeny. It's not like it's the Kirk Hammett.
Right.
You know, it's like Kirk Hammett's Greeny.
But you get the case, and it's got Kirk Hammett, Gary Moore, and Peter Green, like Stinson on there, right? Like, that's the thing. It's the continuity of this guitar.
I mean, the one thing with the red eye I would have liked to have seen would have been a Colton case, because it's not used. It's using, like, it came in a blue case, but it was sort of like a more off-branded case that was maybe.
It would have been awesome if it was an actual Colton.
I think that's because that's probably what Jason's using. I think just
I would imagine.
Spend the extra bucks. It's a $20,000+ guitar. I think the margins are built in there. That would be my thought. But that's a huge part of this, though, is the marketing and the timing of these releases, and the success at the temporary time, and then the hard parts, seeing how it's going to hold.
Right.
Because, like, right now, you know, Gibson's also had a Johnny Cash and a June Carter Cash just came out. Those are not selling well at the moment. But they had, what else do we have coming out right now too? There was the Jimmy Pages, which acoustics, which sold in 5 minutes across the entire dealer network and at the Gibson garage. The ones they allocated for themselves versus their dealers, gone within minutes.
Yeah.
The signed version's at what, 20K, the non-signed at 13, or somewhere around there. And the Noel Gallagher sold immediately. Now, do you have to hold on these? The Jimmy Page double neck too. Those sold fairly moderately. They didn't sell.
They weren't like
quick.
they weren't quite as wild. Which usually you think Jimmy Page stuff is going to sell.
See, what I would have done with that, if I was Gibson there, I would have said, I'm releasing the acoustics and the double necks at the same time, and that's a meet and greet.
God.
And you're going to spend $50,000.
But you get to meet Jimmy Page.
But you're having dinner with Jimmy Page at the garage.
Which is wild.
In London.
In London.
You know, it's a $50,000 ticket. I'm thinking the Peaky Blinders right now again. Love that show. Can't wait for the miniseries and the movie to come out, or the movie to come out. I think they're working on a movie now. But no, that would have been my marketing push for that one. But I mean, they're all selling, so I guess they don't care. It's just, but I think it's just, I like the experience, and the Greeny thing was pretty magical, Sammy.
I mean, it is cool, and the guitars are amazing. You know, I mean, they really are amazing guitars. But it is a tricky thing to figure out which ones are going to be hot, which ones are going to be duds, and which ones are going to increase.
It's tricky.
The price.
Like this, the slash stuff's tricky because there's so many slashes.
Right.
And but the 335 special, that was, you got to see Slash's Snake, not Slash's Snake, but just Slash's Blues sort of album was
Orgy
released.
of the Damned.
It's just a weird name for a blues album. But
Or is it?
But you got to see that. You got to go see Slash at a really private place at the Gibson garage. That's crazy. Yeah.
That one was like reasonably priced.
I know, it was like 15K. Like, we were like, oh, that's affordable. Now, what caught me?
And it was a killer guitar.
Speaking of the garage, last time I was there, I was sort of like taken aback by it. It was so funny how, like, I didn't realize how much security was there.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, there was an armed guard with like an assault rifle outside, and then there was like one or two dudes inside sort of walking around. I was like, do you guys get like riots here? What's going on, Mark?
When we went with Joel, and we took in he took in his 59 Baseman.
How'd that go leaving?
Well, we just grabbed it when we were done, because it was there like all day for hours. So when we were done, we just picked it up and started walking out the door. And the guy, he's like, hey, and they're like, no, it's his. But they were on it, man. We didn't make it out the door.
Why don't we get that on camera?
So,
Casino guitarist caught stealing from Gibson garage again.
Well, Sean was rolling, but they tackled him. So no, that would have been really funny.
Sean's a slippery, like wire little bastard, though. He could get out. He's like a Gumby.
He's
like a sideshow Gumby.
The Sanford Shuffle, he calls it.
Ooh, that is good. That's a good one. No, so the key with these two is now knowing the builder. You know, if you got a Tom Murphy, if you got a Vincent, if you got like a Dale, if you got certain builders that are building these runs, it's going to go like the Alligator Strat. I think that's gonna hold and go up too. That was an Austin McNutt, and he was a new builder at the time. That was his first run that he got to do as a Fender Custom Shop builder. But Jerry Garcia connection.
Anything that is Jerry or Grateful Dead is probably going up.
What are we waiting for? We're waiting for Keith Richards and Bruce Springsteen in the Fender world. You know, Gibson, there's a bunch more, but I think that's kind of, hopefully that's helpful. It's just like the key is hanging on to it, and then knowing which ones is.
I don't think you can buy it thinking you're going to flip it right away, right? Like, I mean, there's a few that works on, but most of them you got to be able to put the money in and just sit on it for a while.
And, well, and sometimes, I mean, I'm going to contradict myself. Geez, I'm sorry, but sometimes when you are going to pick a dud. There are duds out there, and we've seen them. Like I don't know what's going to happen with the Johnny and June Carter, because they're still sitting out there.
Right.
Maybe there's too many runs being made, but I think eventually they'll find a home. It's Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
It's just a funny looking guitar, you know. It's got the double pick guards.
I know.
It's just,
very large.
That's a tough one to buy. But let us know your thoughts, your experience with this. And these are all. I mean, we're not getting to buy these for ourselves. Probably a lot of folks are not either, but it's like, and let us know your thoughts and like how you would tackle this thing. It's a fun intellectual game to me. Click like, subscribe.
Hit the bell.
Enjoy your journey out there. Enjoy these crazy expensive guitars and try to find that winner, that diamond in the rough if you can.
Yes.
Leave it.